All right, let's call this meeting to order, please. Roll call.
Kurt Smith,
Here.
Gustafson,
Here.
Perry,
Here.
J.R. Smith,
Here.
Brabner, Mayor.
I am here. Our invocation and pledge will be led by Councilmember Carl Gustafson. If you please rise.
Father God, I first want to thank you for a beautiful day. You've given us a lot of beautiful days in a row. You brought us through the storms and shown us what your beauty is really like. You've given us so many things to be thankful for, and one of the things that first comes to mind was the movie night that we had not long ago on the city lawn, and watching the citizens of the city come out and enjoy a good family-friendly event. But so many things that we do, I mean, many times we fail you, but yeah, you keep giving to us over and over and over, and for that we thank you. Please bless each member of the city council to make wise decisions. Please bless and protect our first responders and be over the citizens of Spanish Fort. Show them the beauty that you have laid out for us in the city of Spanish Fort. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Carl. Ask for the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, the work session, March 10, 2022, the work session, March 21, 2022, the regular meeting, March 20, 2022, and the work session, March 23rd, 2022. Are there any corrections? If not, stand approved as written. Reports of committees and officers. Ms. Gaines?
No report, sir.
Mr. Connor?
No further reports, Mayor.
Lieutenant Gilmore? Chief Few? Thank you all very much. Now it's time to open the floor for public participation. If you'd like to address the council, now is your opportunity. Please hit the speak button and give us your name and address, please.
My name is Danielle Duggar.
Speak button. There you go. It just came on.
My name is Danielle Duggar. I live at 31958 Badger Court, right up 31. And I'm running for state representative for District 96. That covers Daphne, Spanish Fort. I'm sure y'all are aware, but anyone who's not, Daphne, Spanish Fort, Bromley, and Montrose area. So I hope to be your next representative and your voice in Montgomery. Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate
Thank
your
you, sir.
time. Thank you. Anyone else? Got a long list of announcements, so sit back for a little while. Sunday, April 10th, 2022, the Mobile Pops will be performing a free concert here at the Spanish Fort Community Center at 6 p.m. Fame, Fine Arts, Music, and Entertainment will have an Art Guild show prior to the concert from 5 to 6 p.m. On Saturday, April 16th, 2022 at 3 p.m. in the afternoon, Wallace Gilberry and the City of Spanish Fort present a free Easter egg hunt at Integrity Park. There'll be over 5,000 eggs, free food and drinks, and the Easter Bunny is scheduled to make an appearance. Please join join in on the fun.
Roll Tide.
On Saturday, April 23rd, 2022. Go ahead, Shane. You didn't say anything. Okay. Baldwin County Solid Waste will offer a Baldwin Clean Sweep from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the 4 Baldwin County landfill locations: Magnolia Landfill in Summerdale, McBride in Loxley, Baymonette Transfer Station, and East Fork Landfill in Alberta. This will be a free service to Baldwin County residents. Accepted waste include yard waste, construction debris, tires, electronics, household hazardous waste, and more. A complete list of materials accepted that day can be found on the Baldwin County website at www.baldwincountyalabama.gov. Saturday, April the 30th from 9 to 4 p.m. 4 p.m. The city will be hosting the 12th Annual Delta Woods and Water Expo Family Day. The expo will be held at Five Rivers Delta Resource Center on the Mobile Bay Causeway. There'll be lots of outdoor activities, including fly fishing, geocaching, demonstrations of turkey calling, archery, and many other activities. The admission is free, and it is a big event for our city. It's our signature event. We'll have 2,500 people out there that day. I would like to announce, I don't think I've told the council this, and maybe I have, so if I'm repeating myself, please let me know, but we have received a tourism grant for that event of $2,600 to help offset our costs, and I hate to even say it, but I don't hate, it came from Matt Simpson and his, he got it for us through the state, and that's terrible time, and I don't mean it that way, trust me. He needs credit for getting it done, so anyway. Couldn't pick the worst time to do that, could I? City of Spanish Fort is surveying citizen interest in the City of Spanish Fort Museum, displaying the history of our community. If you're interested in volunteering your time, or if you have historical items relevant to the history of the Spanish Fort community that you're interested in donating or loaning to the city, please contact our city clerk, Ms. Rebecca Gaines, at 626-4884, or email cityclerk@cityofspanishfort.com. Sunday, May 1st, 2022, the Jazz Studio will be performing a free concert here at the Community Center at 6 o'clock. Bring your tailgate chairs, picnic baskets, and enjoy the music on the back lawn here at the Community Center. Tidy the city, clean up the City of Spanish Fort. Dumpsters will be placed at Spirit Park on May 5th, 6th, and 7th for everything except for electronics, household garbage, tires, and hazardous materials. A lot going on in the city in the next month, so every weekend is something. There is no old business. On the new business, we have a proclamation, and Tracy, thank you for coming tonight. A proclamation for the National Library Week. If you come forward to the podium.
This is a proclamation for National Library Week. Whereas libraries are at the heart of their cities, towns, schools, and campuses, serving as accessible and inclusive places that foster a sense of belonging and community. And whereas to adapt to our changing world, libraries are expanding their resources and continuing to meet the needs of their patrons by offering opportunities for everyone to explore new worlds through access to technology, multimedia content, and educational programs. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions for all members of the community, and whereas librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week, now therefore I, Michael M. McMillan, Mayor of the City of Spanish Fort, proclaim and recognize April 3 through 9, 2022 as National Library Week. During this week, I encourage all residents to visit the Spanish Fort Public Library to access available resources, programming, and services. Because of the passion and dedicated work of librarians, library workers, and library supporters and advocates, libraries help transform lives and communities. Given under my hand in the great seal of the City of Spanish Fort on this 4th day of April in the year of our Lord, 2022, Michael M. McMillan, Mayor.
On behalf of the council, the citizens, I want to thank you for what you do in the library. I know sometimes it seems like a thankless job. You do a great job, your staff do a great job, and just like to honor your at least this 1 week out of the year, right?
That's right.
Anything you want to say?
No, just thank you all to the council, always, for all of your guidance with the library. And we are extremely passionate, the staff there, we are just thrilled with what we do every day. It's not a job, it's a passion, and we really believe in the library. So thank you all for helping guide us and all that. Thank you all.
I believe we also have another proclamation on Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Spanish Fort. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is a proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month. Whereas child abuse is a problem which affects all communities, and finding a solution depends upon the involvement of people throughout the community. And whereas the statistics of children who are abused and neglected continue to escalate each year, and whereas the effects of child abuse are felt by entire communities and need to be addressed by the entire community, and whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among social service agencies, schools, religious organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas youth-serving prevention programs offer positive alternatives for young people and encourage youth to develop strong ties to their community, and whereas all citizens should become more aware of child abuse and its prevention within the community and become involved in supporting parents to raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment, now therefore I, Michael M. McMillan, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Spanish Fort, do hereby declare the month of April as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Spanish Fort, Alabama, and call upon all citizens, communities, agencies, religious organizations, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to prevent child abuse, thereby strengthening the community in which we live. Given under my hand in the Great Seal of the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama, on this 4th day of April in the year of our Lord 2022, Michael M. McMillan, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Certainly we all can get behind this one proclamation. Child abuse is very alive and well in our country, in our state, and certainly in our city also. So what little bit we can do as a council to offset that is certainly worthwhile.
I would like to say there's a very large tennis tournament in Mobile this Thursday, and all the proceeds go to the Child Advocacy Center. So it's the biggest fundraiser for the Child Advocacy Center, and I'd love to see us somehow get an event over in Baldwin County that can support our facility as well.
Sounds like a good project for you, Mayor. Okay, moving to the agenda, I have ordinance number 600, 2022, an ordinance amending ordinance number 543, 2019, which established tree protection and landscape standards. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this ordinance amends ordinance number 543, 2019, which established tree protection and landscape standards for the city. This ordinance is basically amending section 6A of that ordinance regarding perimeter landscaping. The present ordinance states that on all development or construction sites along county, state, and federal roads and highways, there's to be a setback of 50 feet from the right-of-way, and there shall be a required and maintained 50-foot setback as a green belt along the entire width of the property, except at permitted access ways. The Planning Commission, in reviewing some applications recently after the widening of 31, has come across several issues of property where, based on the widening, the purchase of property along 31, and the remaining property that's left along 31 has created some issues from some business owners that are trying to develop their property. And so it has been recommended, based on the public hearing, the Planning Commission forwards a positive recommendation for this for this amendment to the landscape ordinance, whereby we would reduce the 50-foot setback to a 25-foot setback along U.S. Highway 31 only, and only for commercially zoned and business properties. Everywhere else in the city it would remain the same, but it would only change in those areas.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? I'd like to announce we have a public hearing on this ordinance to be held Monday, April 18th, to hear any comments in opposition to or in favor of the proposed ordinance. I'd like to present Resolution 1216, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement for professional services between the city of Spanish Fort and Goodwill Mills and Kaywood, Inc. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is one of a series of resolutions that we have on the agenda tonight related to the approved Go Mesa funding for the purchase of the property known as Cypress Point in the city of Spanish Fort. As you recall, the governor announced that $8.5 million would be granted in Go Mesa funds toward the purchase of that property. subject to all GO-MESA requirements. One of the requirements is that there be an appraisal of the property, a survey of the property, as well as an environmental site assessment of the property. This contract would be with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood to perform the survey and Phase 1 environmental assessment. A copy of the proposed contract is attached as Exhibit A. Exhibit 1, the appraisal on the west side of the property is $13,000, the survey on the east side is $10,000, and the Phase 1 is $3,000 for a total of $26,000.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion? This certainly is a piece that is big for our city. I think we all agree this is just a piece of putting together the acquisition of that property that will allow us to establish some family-friendly facilities within our city that will have waterfront accessibility with picnic areas and all those things that we all like to see go forward. Any further discussion? Do I have a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt Resolution 1216, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. I'd like to present Resolution 1217, 2022, a resolution governing outside employment for police officers employed by the City of Spanish Fort, the Police Department. Mr. Connor.
Mayor, this is a rule of procedure governing the officers' employment outside the corporate limits of the city. The city presently has rules and regulations regarding this in its police policy and personnel manuals. It's understanding that our insurance company has requested that we review those policies and consider adopting this as an updated policy. It sets forth that this is allowed under a state code and allows for the use of officers to use equipment during those services. Section 2 sets forth the application process, which must be filed by the officer with the chief of police for consideration. And then upon receipt of the application, the chief of police or his designee will either approve or disapprove the application with or without conditions as deemed necessary.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? As Ms. Connor mentioned, the printed version of the resolution you have does not cover with his designee part, and that was added during the work session. Do I have a motion to adopt 1217, 2022?
Make a motion to adopt Resolution 1217, 2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner, Mayor.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. I'd like to present Resolution 1218, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a master professional services agreement between GeoSyntech Consultants, Inc. and the City of Spanish Fort. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this resolution would authorize you to execute an agreement with GeoSyntech Consultants, Inc. for the bluff wall inspections in and along Patrician Drive that were performed by the City of Spanish Fort. A copy of the proposed agreement is attached as Exhibit 1, and this just covers the improved area that the city constructed and stabilized. The amount of the contract is for $7,000, and it's for a review and scope and determination to see if there's any maintenance that needs to be done on that project.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 1218, 2022, and include any changes deemed necessary by the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1219, 2022, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for services between the City of Spanish Fort, Alabama, and the consultant for park and recreation activities to the City Council. Mr. Connor.
Mayor, this is a continuation of the relationship between the city and the school system and certain employees regarding the provision of athletic and recreational activities in the city. As we've done in the past, the city has contracted with the athletic director and head football coach at Spanish Fort High School to act as a consultant in relation to and a liaison with all athletic programs in the city to advise the city on programs, facilities, etc. The new athletic director and head coach at Spanish Fort is Chase Smith. A copy of the proposed agreement is attached as Exhibit A. The amount of the contract is $20,000, and will follow the same procedures that we followed with the previous head coach.
Of course, Ms. Connor mentioned the amount of the contract is $20,000. Of course, that's prorated throughout the year. This is just an extension of the previous contract we had with the last athletic director, which was null and void as soon as he left the employment of the Baldwin County School Board. Any discussion on this item? Do I have a motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration?
Motion to suspend.
Discussion? Roll call?
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner. Mayor.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion we approve Resolution 1218-2022.
19.
1219-2022.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Kurt Smith,
Yes.
Gustafson,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
J.R. Smith,
Yes.
Brabner.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, the resolution is adopted. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1220-2022, a resolution disposing of surplus property. Mr. Connor.
Mayor, we have Alabama Code Section 11-43-56 authorizes the municipal governing body to dispose of unneeded personal property and managed property. It has come to the attention of the city that we have 3 2013 Chevrolet Tahoes, slightly used, as I understand, vehicles, maybe a little more than slightly used vehicles, that the city no longer needs for public purposes. This will authorize the mayor and the city clerk to dispose of those vehicles and receive the most monies as deemed adequate.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council? This is being introduced tonight and will be on your April 18th agenda. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1221-2022, a resolution approving an agreement regarding transfer of jurisdiction and integration of the fire department between the city of Spanish Fort, Alabama, and the Spanish Fort Fire Rescue Department, Inc. Mr. Connor.
Mayor, as everyone knows, the Spanish Fort Fire Rescue Department, Inc. is a volunteer, not-for-profit organization that provides fire and rescue services to the city of Spanish Fort and surrounding communities, and I don't think there's any question whatsoever that they do a fantastic job. Everybody appreciates what they do and the work that they have done. The city has continued to support the fire department over the years, and the amount of money that the city has contributed toward the department continues to rise, and rightfully so, in support of their mission, for which they do a great job. The city and the fire department have been involved in discussions regarding whether or not the city would take over the jurisdiction of the fire department and integrate the fire department with the city of Spanish Fort. And in fact, the city and the fire department engaged the services of an independent third party to perform a feasibility study. And the recommendation was that the city would, it would be beneficial for the city to take over the department to deal for future planning and growth and the provision of fire service in the future. And so this is an agreement regarding the transfer of jurisdiction and integration of the fire department with the city of Spanish Fort. A copy of that agreement is attached to this document, and basically, in its most simple form, the fire department would, the city would assume the fire department's jurisdiction. The district boundary would remain the same at a minimum for 2 years. After that time, they may stay the same forever, but for 2 years there will be no changes at all. The fire department would like to continue its corporate existence for the purpose of raising funds and assisting in providing benefits that they provide, such as work comp and other services and programs they provide to encourage the volunteer spirit and to help those, because without the volunteers, the fire department would not be as successful and would not be able to provide the level of service that it provides. And even with the city taking on the department, we still are going to need volunteers that are ready, willing, and able to serve, and so that helps them do that. The employees of the fire department that are paid employees would become subject to the requirements of the agreement, employees of the city. It also addresses the transfer of assets, all assets from the fire department, including fire stations, equipment, trucks, all those kind of things would be transferred to the city, with the exception of a few items that the Volunteer Fire Department Association may need to continue their fundraising efforts and other efforts. And it outlines all the terms and conditions basically of this proposed agreement, transfer of assets, debts, and it's something that's been being worked on for a period of time.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion from the council?
On section 5A, it talks about terminating employees on July 31st from the fire department, and then they'd come onto our payroll.
Those dates would be changed to August, well, no, July
Well,
31st.
but the terminology there, I thought in the corporate world, you're not terminated, I was not terminated from AmSouth and then the next day became a Regions employee. I just became a Regions employee. So that, I don't like the wording of that. That sounds harsh. And with that wording, how do you transfer all their tenure?
We can certainly look at that word to see if there's a better word for it, but this is not a merger per se. We are taking them over. They're still going to have their corporate existence. They're still going to continue. We're not assuming the fire department or assuming it. And so the way that we're dealing with benefits, if you'll recall, is that the length of service that fire department employees have now and their salaries will be taken into consideration for purposes of determining vacation time, benefits, and then there will also be fit into pay classifications and grades based on the wages that they're making now. If you want to look at that word terminate, we can certainly look at that, but in effect, they'll no longer be volunteer fire department 501c3 employees, they'll be City of Spanish Fork public employees.
But there again, it's no different from being an AmSouth employee to a Regions employee. It's just a transition.
I don't know if there was a merger with AmSouth, I don't know if you bought them out or whatever, but the AmSouth doesn't still exist, so it was no longer there. Here, the fire department's still going to exist. But I'll definitely look in that to see if there's
Okay.
anything.
I don't want there to be a loophole for them to lose anything as far as tenures and things of that nature.
Oh, I can assure you they've watched that one.
Yeah, and I think that's outlined in the contract.
It is,
As
it
well,
is.
very, very well, because none of us want them to lose anything
No.
in the transition.
And it's our understanding, the one thing that you might be concerned about doing that was the fact that is retirement, but they are in the RSA plan now. And so they'll go from one RSA plan participant, being the fire department, to another RSA plan participant, which is the city.
I just want
So-
to protect them.
Yeah, so we've tried to think about that, but that's a good question, and we'll double check to make sure there's nothing else.
Thank you, Ms. Bravner.
Just
Any other
for-
discussion?
Sure, just for everybody's benefit, anybody watching online or whatever, it's been several years of discussion over this, and I just want everybody to know that there's been just a lot of effort made to make sure this is done well. And I've really enjoyed getting to know Chief Few, and I guess I'm trying to think back at how long ago it was that you and Troy Dias and I met for coffee at Chick-fil-A to start this. And it's been a lot. Has it been 8 years? It's been something like that. But over the last few years especially, there's been a lot more renewed effort. And I really appreciate all the staffs going through to make this work and make it a smooth transition. And just really appreciate all that the fire department does for us, and I look forward to working with you for more years to come.
Anyone else? We certainly want to do all we can do to make this as smooth as possible. We want it to be seamless through the efforts of Chief Few and his command staff and staff here at City Hall. I think we've got a good document put together. There may be some hiccups along the way, which I would expect, but I can assure you one thing: this city will always do the right thing and do the right thing for their employees. And that includes the fire department coming on or any other employee we have. I think it's important to note that we are blessed with a great fire department, great leadership, and I don't want to see that end in any form or fashion. I don't think it will with this agreement. Chief, anything you want to add to this?
And it cannot be retirement plans.
No, it has been a work in progress, and I do appreciate everybody's diligence on moving it forward.
Thank you, Chief. Any other discussion? This is being introduced tonight and will be on your April 18th agenda. I'd like to introduce Resolution 1222, 2022, a resolution in authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Spanish Fort and BPM Capital LLC. Mr. Connor.
Mayor, the city's been in negotiation with BPM Capital LLC regarding the proposed purchase of the Cypress Point project, which ultimately resulted in the granting and approval of Go Mesa funding for the acquisition cost. And again, I would like to say on behalf of the city, and I'm sure the mayor too, we appreciate BPM Capital LLC and their patience, Greg Strawn, and all the people that are involved there in working with us and waiting with us to try and obtain funding to purchase this. They saw the benefit to the community in preserving and conserving this property for the community, and they've been working with us to do that, and we appreciate that. Attached to this is a copy of a contract to purchase and sale between BPM Capital LLC and the city in the amount of $848,423,000. It outlines the closing, the terms, allocation of closing costs, and other issues related to the closing of the property. It is conditioned upon the city receiving Go Mesa funding in the amount of the purchase price plus all the additional expenses in order to close on the purchase of the property.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Discussion from the council? This, I will say, this has been a long time in the making, just like the fire department marriage. And there's so many people to thank for on this particular subject. I'll start with our staff around City Hall. A lot of hours put in the presentation. I'd like to also, Heath Harville was an integral part of taking this little $6,000 drone he's got to take pictures for our presentation, putting it together. Ms. Gaines, your staff, yourself were a great integral part. Mr. Connor, thank you for your time and efforts on your trip to Montgomery. I certainly want to thank Governor Ivey for the wisdom to move forward with this. Chief of Staff Joe Bonner, he was very integral. In fact, he made a comment when we were up there making our presentation, how at that time he was commuting from Montgomery back down to Fairhope every week, and every time he drove over there, he looked over there and looked how beautiful it was and wondered what they'd do to preserve it. So the timing for what we were doing was great. And while we haven't put it completely to bed, I feel really good about where we are on this project. It's going to be an opportunity for our citizens, and it's certainly a red letter day in our city to acquire 144 acres on the waterfront to preserve for our citizens, for waterfront activities, picnic activities, walking trails, all those things that have come along with this. And I will encourage the citizens, you know, my thoughts on this once we secure the property is to have some public meetings to discuss what they'd like to see out there. You know, it's not a Mike McMillan plan, city council plan. We need to hear from everybody on this, what they'd like to see, you know, what their vision of this property is. We all look at it every day, and one of the prettiest sights you'll ever see is driving across that bridge at sunset and looking across there and seeing the skyline of Mobile and the Delta. It's just, you can't put a price tag on that. So a lot of people to thank for that. Any other discussion on this item? This, with being introduced tonight, will be on your April 18th agenda. We have one other item that was added to our agenda tonight. It's Resolution 1223, 2022, and it has to go with the Go Mesa funding. Mr. Connor?
Mayor, this is another piece of the puzzle. This is actually the agreement between the State of Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and the City of Spanish Fort for the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act Go Mesa funds to purchase the property that we were just discussing. As you mentioned earlier, the amount of the award was $8.5 million, subject to the limitations and requirements set forth in the Go Mesa funds and in the grant agreement. This is the grant agreement that's attached as Exhibit 1 that will be approved by the city and executed by the mayor on behalf of the city in order to obtain those funds.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. Any discussion on that item? This is being introduced tonight and will be on your April 18th agenda. Any other business coming before the council tonight? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.